Hi, I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and I'd like to welcome you to this video, especially if you are someone who is interested in getting into a CNC business, or perhaps you have a business with a CNC machine already and you're not doing so well and you're struggling with it. You don't really know how to sell stuff and not getting a good return. Well, then I'm glad you're on this video, and hopefully you're a part of this series. This is number 7 of a mentoring session I've been doing with a guy named Mark Garrett, who did exactly that. Decided to make a change in his life and decided to start a business with a CNC machine and didn't know what to do when he actually got the machine set up. And he contacted me to mentor him. And so I've been doing that. Now, if you are on this episode, number 7, for the first time, you have got to get off this episode and go to number 1 and follow the chain of events, because otherwise you will not understand what's going on in this video. For you who has been following this, you know that Mark has reached his first goal. In fact, he surpassed it a little bit, and in a fairly short period of time. And it's because he did all the foundation work and then went out and took action. Actually went out to where his customers were, but because of that foundation work, he knew where his customers were going to be and how to talk to them. And this is what I want you to understand. It's all about the avatar, and it's also about the riches are in the niches. When you start a CNC business, if you just kind of make stuff and you don't really have a clarity on who your avatar is, you're always going to struggle. And you want your avatar to have some money, right? You don't want to be part of the discount crowd. We're going to get into that. So this being the next level, the first of the next level, we're going to do a bit of reflection with Mark in this episode. And if you think about when Mark was first doing this and the awareness that he has now, the change from this I'm not sure I can do it, I'm not sure I'm worth this kind of money, I can't really charge that much for my products, to a point where he understands this just at a whole new level. This is what I want you to get as a part of watching a series, and you have to do the foundational work. So for the first whatever of this video is going to be a lot of reflection, and I want you to pay really close attention to it, because I want you to see the mindset that he's starting to work from now. And then we're going to set up his new goals. Now, unfortunately, the audio on my end has some issues in this episode. I apologize. I'm doing some changing with my equipment, and it didn't work this time so well. So we got some, I just apologize for that. So what we're going to do is get right into this with Mark, and make sure you give me a thumbs up and a comment when you start getting some aha moments. Will you do that? I want a yes or no. Will you give comments when you get aha moments? I know I can't hear it, but I want you to say it. This is the first part of being mentored, where you are taking the action, and taking the action that a mentor is guiding you on. So will you make a comment of an aha that you got? That just means when you put that down that something has sunk in that wasn't there before. That's why it's so important. Okay, we're going to get into this with Mark, and enjoy the mentoring session and your growth, and starting to build that success in your CNC business. Let's go. Well, hello, Mark. Welcome to session number 7 with your mentoring.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Hey, how's my video, my audio, everything cool?
Yeah, everything sounds good. Yep.
Okay, yeah. I just got a new camera. Yeah, good. All right. So, still getting myself sorted out with that kind of stuff.
That happens. The learning curve for everything, right?
Yep. So, how's the move going? Looks like you got behind you.
We are, we're midst of packing. Everything's getting packed up. The shop got disassembled over the weekend and is sitting in one of those movable pods. So yeah, so now I'm completely without ability. Even silly me, I even packed up my drills and I was like, I need those. So I had to go back, climb in the pod and go pull them out. But yeah, I was just all excited to get everything packed up. And it looks like at the new place, I'm going to be moving the CNC router inside the house into the basement. Um, and that way I've got a better workflow because I'm just too tight where I'm at right now, and I'm not efficient. And it gets quite messy. So just with, trying to make product, there's no workflow. So decided to take a portion of the basement and set that up to milling and assembly. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So just to kind of let people know what this is, as you know, we are recording this. So whoever's watching this video, this is an ongoing mentoring session with a guy named Mark Garrett, who has decided to get into CNC routers. Briefly tell your story, since people who watch at this point know it, but just in case for someone just on this episode.
Yeah, sure. So COVID hit and took on a couple different consulting contracts. They got canceled just as COVID came on, and then it was 2 years of working for 6 months, and then companies taking new directions, what have you, getting reclosed and so on. And my most recent client, they moved to all in-house staff. So as soon as everyone could come back in, they didn't want remote people. So that was the last kind of final straw, if you will. And I guess last summer, about a year ago, I started as a hobby doing some woodworking, and people were asking me to build them stuff, and that kind of spun off into things. So when this last round of layoffs went through, I said, screw it, let's just go and do this full time, and decided to put the CNC at the center of what I do, and to make sure that everything I can do is customizable, is repeatable. And so now I'm beginning to learn the power of repeatable process and things like that. So, yeah.
Okay. And then you started to get into it. You got a CNC router, and then you kind of felt like you didn't know what the hell you were doing and how you were going to make it work. So
absolutely.
For anybody who's watching this, I just want to say that I told Mark the condition of mentoring him would be to make it public, and he hesitantly agreed, but has found that it has been something of an impetus to help him get moving. And so if you have just landed on this mentoring session for the first time, this is not going to make sense to you as to where Mark is at. You need to start at number one. If you want to start a business with a CNC machine, you have to start at the first of these series of mentoring sessions, so you can understand the progression, how to build the foundations of a business the right way, and then watch these episodes from there on out. It's also in podcasts. There'll be a link down below in the video if you want to watch it on podcast. Can you watch on podcast?
Listen.
You want to listen to it on podcast. Okay, so with that, yes, we are recording this. This is number 7. Now, Mark, you had a goal. As a part of that, we set up a goal of 5.5K, and you wanted to hit it in 6 weeks. By the way, if you hear a background beeping, I am in a store. My shop is in the back end of a store, and so I pair with somebody, and so he has a framing shop, and so when he's back here in his part of the shop, he doesn't know if people are coming in, so we have a beeper back here. Annoying as hell, but it's necessary.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Beeping means customers.
Yeah, beeping means customers.
Yeah, so it's not a pain in the ass. It's a good thing.
Right. So you hit your goal in 6 weeks. You exceeded it by a couple $100. So you ended up making $5,800.
Actually, by the time it came in and everything landed, within the window was $6,014.
All right. So you had kind of set yourself a higher goal.
I set myself a stretch goal of 6,500. Yeah.
All right. Starting from nothing. Now you had a little bit of a foundation. You had some people already in the pipeline,
yep.
or you were making connections at that point. So
That's
you
correct,
had a little bit of an edge up. Before we continue, for people who are just watching this, who didn't have a little bit of a connection already with how to get started, what would you, based on the experience that we've had now in this mentoring and what we've talked about, what would you say to somebody who is still kind of looking at the CNC world going, okay, I want to make something, and I want to make money doing it, but I don't really know where to start. It's where they are literally at the bottom line. So as somebody who's walked down a road in a very short period of time,
Yeah.
what would you like to share on that?
Well, I think for me, part of it is what I enjoy doing. So I think understanding what I want to do and what I want to get out of this. In one of the previous sessions, Garrett really runs me through the why components of that. So I'm going to let you watch that portion. But I'm really getting to understand the why behind it, I think was the first thing. Because I can go and create anything that is out there, but do I want to do it, and will I enjoy doing it? It will bring the satisfaction. So that was the first thing. And the second thing is to make some. Make some of those things that I wanted to sell. And, just, so I was making, custom cutting boards, and then, grow my logos upside down, but, putting the logo in with a laser, and then being able to customize them and put stuff on them. And then that kind of spun off into who's interested in buying this. So then looking at specifically the type of customer that would buy what I want to make and what I want to sell and what brings me joy. And then is there a market? So then going and understanding and establishing is there a market there? And so that was really kind of the key focus on that. And then I tried to sell the product, and lo and behold, people were interested. So this cutting board here, as it stands right now, I sell this specific board. Its sister or brother sold for $250 Canadian. So, and why? Because I'm confident it's good quality, and I'm where my customers are. If I went to somewhere else with a lower quality marketplace, possibly, that wouldn't sell for that rate. The other thing I did is I did a bunch of signs, I did a bunch of other things, and I found that what I was being compared against in both in Facebook Marketplace and in Etsy, I was getting, can you do it cheaper? Can you do it lower? Can you do it for less? And at some point in time, I couldn't, because I'm not making any money, and I'm not in this for a hobby. This is my business. So I steered away from specifically the signs, and then so that's really kind of the focus of the business, is customizing kitchen cutting boards, carving boards, and having a high-end product for a high-end customer. My boards start now at $150 and go all the way up to $350. So that's really the purpose. From there, I then looked for a distribution channel. So who could sell my product for me? And it turns out that the market that I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, we have insanely high residential real estate transaction price. Average home sale in Toronto is $1 million for a 2-bedroom house. So it's not uncommon for realtors to give gifts in this competitive market. So I've reached out to several realtors, and I'm now working with them and creating these high-end custom cutting boards with their branding, their logos, their information on it to give as thank you gifts. My price is lower, but my volume is higher, and I don't have to deal with one person. So from a business perspective, it makes it a lot easier. I get a phone call from one person. We've already set up the relationship. I have the credit card on file. I take the information, I confirm it, I process it. I get paid before I even make the board. It's happy. Everything works. That's really on the main side. Then the second side is I looked more into the production wholesale side of it and finding a problem that somebody had and solving that problem for them. So a friend of mine owns a winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake area. And so what I now do is I take all of his wine barrels and break them down and create products around the wine barrel industry and supporting him to create additional sales. So from that perspective, what does that look like? I take wine barrels, and you'll see in the previous videos, I turn them into candle holders, and then I engrave his logo on it. No one else was able to do that for him. So the CNC was able to help me do that. We're now moving into a couple other products for him, and I looked at all of the offcuts that I had, and I'm in the middle of a move, so it's all packed up, but and taking those elements and seeing if I could take a little square piece of the wine barrel stave and make that as a placeholder for when you go to a wedding, because they have weddings up there. And I've been talking to the wedding coordinator, and finally, I'm happy to report, Garrett, that she's now asked for a proposal and a quote. So it looks like we've got 2 weddings that we're going to be doing. And so we're going to be take the wine barrel, and it's going to be, happy, happy wedding, blah, 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 whatever. They're going to write it up, and we're going to put it on the wine barrel, and that's going to be the wedding gift. Then the second barrel top is going to be welcome to the wedding of so-and-so. So that'll be 2. And then both weddings will have 7, I believe it's 70 of these individual little card placements. So, and they do 2 weddings a weekend from now for the next 3 months. And then next year they'll be doing every single wedding. So, and then the spin-off of that is, how can I be of service? How can I help? Is now the winery just signed a deal with the same company. They handle all of their corporate events, and they do 5 corporate events a week. So now talking with them is, we're going to be doing specific wine barrel based stuff around the winery and the event to their corporate clients as well. So, that's just kind of split off into, I don't know what it's going to look like, but not this week, but next week, we're going in and having a meeting. We're going to do proposals to see what they want. But I mean, that could be, 50 people, 50 to 60 people in there with a customized piece commemorating their time in that event at the company, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know where that one's going to go, but they become customers of everything else that I sell.
Yeah, so your business is mushrooming out now.
That's correct. I can't hear you very well. Your audio's
1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah, it's a little loose there.
Hang on. Try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. All right. So your business has mushroomed out a bit.
Yes.
And it's expanding. So, I mean, coming back to the original question, what you did is you took people down the path of what has happened with you, and there's other stuff, like the stuff with your daughter.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that for sure. Yeah, that's the other thing.
So getting back to the question as somebody who is just starting out and doesn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
One of the things you pointed out in this dialogue is dealing with people who are trying to ask if you can do it cheaper.
Correct.
Right. So this is one of the things that, for anybody who is wanting to get into business, is this is the reason for the journey I took Mark on, and to identify what they call the avatar, or the person that he wants to market to, because you want to get a clear understanding of who your market is. When he was making these signs and getting people who are, can you do it cheaper? This is the discount crowd, and the discount crowd is the one that's always looking for a discount. They don't value the quality of his work. They don't value the quality of his time. They don't realize or are aware of it. And it's actually, I almost hate to say it, but it's a reflection of the individual you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Where if somebody is trying to ask you for a discount, they are cheap. And if you are constantly dealing with that type of person, then that means that your self-standard of what you do is too low. And this is why you want to develop an avatar and understand your why and some other things. So,
it's interesting, Garrett, just with that too, is I was the person always asking for a discount. And so as a personal reflection, it actually had me, that exercise actually had me reflect back on what I'm doing. And I now actually, when I'm out talking to people, I'm not looking for discounts. I used to be the guy that would see a file on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, like, hey dude, can I get that for free? Can you send me the file? And now if I want a file, the guy's time is, or the gal's time is worth money, right? I mean, they took time to go and create something that I found interesting and want to create. So my opening line is, hey, I love it. How much to buy the file from you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm offering to buy, because being in that position now, it's like, well, I don't give that board away for free. Yeah, it cost me scrap wood, so somebody in the business knows how much my material costs are, and somebody who makes this knows how much my labor time is, but it's the value that the customer sees from that. And that's the distinct difference I think I had coming into this versus now where I stand is, no, I don't. I want to share this with you, and maybe I think I'm going to hold up to the screen, but let's see if it zooms in. But this is something I saw the other day. And it's kind of when your clients ask if you can do it cheaper. Yeah, I can, but you get crap quality, right? And that's kind of the message. And so that's kind of where that's at. And not discounting what other people are doing, because there are people that are doing different things. But for my journey, I'm enjoying the praise of high-end quality stuff, and I'm enjoying interacting with those people because they're being referrals. So it's just an easier transaction start to finish. So.
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. You're getting referrals from higher end people who are willing to spend the money. When you're dealing with cheap people, the referrals don't happen, or at least not nearly as much. And so as a viewer watching this mentoring session, I really want to point out, are you a discount seeker? If you are, and you want to get into business at the same time, you're going to struggle. You have to change that sense of always looking for the deal or looking to save money. You want to raise your standard, your quality of standard, because what's within you is what you will attract to you. So if you are a discount seeking person, you're going to attract the discounters, or can you make it for cheaper? And then you're always having to deal with that over and over again, because it's the same old story. It's just a different face, but it's the same mindset. So it's really important to take a look at that. Mark pointed out that he became aware of it within himself as this part of this going through the avatar thing, and understanding your why. And by understanding your why, Mark, what you wanted to get out of it, why you wanted to get out of it, what you wanted to get to, and why you wanted to get to it, forced you to change a core nature about you. And this is the fundamental aspect of business that anybody who wants to get into business has to understand. Whatever you achieve, meaning what's a good example? Okay, so let's just say you are an 80K a month, a year earner in a career, but you don't make more than that. It's because you have an 80K a month mentality. You don't realize that you can make $150,000 or triple it or quadruple it or 10x it. It all starts with what we are within. So what I'm saying is, if you want to create a business and you want this business to be successful, you have to change yourself and who you are to get to that new level of what you define as success. So, Mark, I'm sure you've gone through this, as I have, and many other people have, as they may wish, I wish this would happen. I wish this would happen. I wish I could make this. And then sometimes you're going, I don't know why I can't reach this. and talk about that a bit based on the experience and the changes you've gone through over the last, I guess we'll say 8 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been for me it was a mindset, right? Like we'll talk. I'll probably talk about my personal journey on my own channel, kind of how I got to where I'm at. But I've had some heavy ups and downs, and the last down was a wicked fall. And so I sat for probably 5 or 6 years. Just as a quick story, who gets fired from McDonald's? This guy, right? I got fired from McDonald's on my second day. Now, just so you know, the reason why I got fired is because I called out one of the managers who wasn't washing their hands, and they said, "Well, we don't rat people out like that." I'm like, "It's food safety, dude. Like, it's like you're not supposed to be here." So I got fired from McDonald's. Yeah, that was a proud moment in my life. Anyway, so you begin to think like that. You begin to think like, crap, I need to go and take the stickers off my little McDonald's cup so I can get a free coffee, and things like that. And now and you stay like that, and then it becomes that way, and you take dates out using coupons and stuff like that, right? Because you think, oh, I'm holding on to my last dollar. And quite frankly, in the last 2 months, the mentality has changed that, okay, I need to go and buy, $500 worth of wood because I will make that and I will turn that into $3,000 or $5,000. It's a very different thinking from that perspective, but I'll be honest with you, it was a big leap. It was not easy. It was scary as hell. I got a lot of people around me that have supported me, but how far can you support, that kind of behavior that's kind of keeps on repeating itself? And is it, oh no, here's another one. And then for me, I think the biggest thing is when I signed up for the first show and I didn't have enough product. I didn't have a website. I didn't have anything, but the show was going to be in 2 weeks. And so I procrastinated. I freaked out that, oh my God, I'm going to go to the show and what am I going to do? And then it came down to it. And I spent 3 days just grinding to get a bunch of stuff done. And lo and behold, I surpassed my, my sales target. And I was the second highest selling vendor at the marketplace for my first place. Why? Because I knew my avatar, Renee, and you'll know who Renee is before the other videos. I knew she was going to be there. And so I spoke to her and I created a product that she was interested in. And lo and behold, it sold and there was no questions. It was like, yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, wow, these are cheap, and it's like next day, increase the price, dynamic pricing. Yeah, so that's kind of been the big journey. I think the other thing too is not leaning into or falling back into the easy thing, or everyone else is making this and they're selling 50 of these things, but when you break down the math, they're selling 50 things that make them $10, and it takes just as much time for them to sell it more for more value. Do something, increase the quality of the wood, increase the time that's being spent on the finishing, and you can charge 2 or 3 times as much as you were charging before. And that's what I'm finding right now as I'm going to some of the marketplaces. There are people that are charging, I'm looking at going, how are you making money? Like there was this one guy at the last marketplace I was at, and he was charging $25 for a 24-inch by 12-inch scrolled name. And I think it was $25 he was charging for that. And at current market prices right now, I mean, the wood alone is, it's got to be $15 of material into that, plus the time to carve it, plus the time to sand it, finish it. He's not making any money. I mean, he's making a little bit of money, but he's not making business money. And I'm not competing against him, that's for sure. So it's kind of that journey of understanding where I want to be. So, and for those of you who are watching, I have to remember we're not having a private conversation here. For those of you who are watching, please don't discount what I'm saying and saying that what I want you to consider is value what you are selling your product for. That 2 foot by 3 foot, or sorry, 2 foot by 1 foot scrolled name. I took a photo of it. I asked the guy if I could for, just to show somebody. And I offered the exact same picture to a friend of mine who's got a new child. And I said, yeah, $150. How's that sound? And she said, yeah, sure.
So I wanted to stop for just a moment and talk to you about what was just said by Mark. Something that he has learned to be aware of. He's talked about, he used to have the discount mentality. And then he's talking about this guy who's selling a fairly large scrolled sign for $25. Now, just from that little statement, I can tell you something about that individual that he ran into. And that is that individual is struggling to make ends meet. They're always looking for money, and their customers are always asking if they can discount, or if he can discount that project. He's got a Walmart mentality. His financial mindset is way too low. And if you are in this kind of mindset bracket where you think, I can't sell something like that for $150, then you have to change it. You have to turn around and say, yes, I am worth that. And there are people out there that know that I am worth it and are willing to pay for that worth. And those are the people that aren't discount seekers, and they are the ones that you want to find. You have to get out of discount crowds. Otherwise, you will always, always, always struggle, and money will always be a problem. I know this from being in this mindset of wanting $1 million and having $1 million mindset, right? Of having these financial goals that are this high, I'm going to get there. I get around people who make more than I do so that they can teach me. And they help me understand and see these other mindsets. Now, it's a very common crowd. People who discount their own quality is what this guy is doing. He's discounting his own quality. And by virtue of that, he is projecting that out. And you can't really see the projection, but it's there. And by projecting that, he is attracting that crowd. Basically, he's displaying probably a fairly large, decent sign for a cheap price. And people with financially higher mentality or a higher financial thermostat within will turn away from him because their perception is his stuff is cheap. And that's the projection because he has priced it at a cheap level. And who's going to come in? Walmart shoppers who want a discount. And so this really just comes back around. You have to find a niche. I can't stress this enough. The riches are in the niches. Get that in your head and get your sense of self-worth in your head and stop being a discount seeker if you are. Discount seekers always struggle. All right, so important to say this. Now, just as a side note, I know there's some audio quality issues in this episode. I am working on that as I'm changing my gear. Okay, so let's get back to this, about this guy selling this sign and some more about Mark and his shift that you're probably seeing. If you've been following along with this, you've been seeing Mark change in his perspective. This is what you have to do if you want to do well in business. I'm going to tell you this because I've had people tell me this many times. If you've watched the channel, the IDC Woodcraft channel, you know that my favorite word is the word wealth. And I talk about prosperity and abundance and riches and success. And I have had enough people tell me, well, I don't really buy into your wealth thing where they're talking about this money. Like, it's easy to read. It's like money is bad, like you're being greedy. Okay? If you are in that kind of mindset, you have to shift out of it. You're not getting into business to make a little money because you will always struggle. If you look at your past and think about your financial struggles and just maybe not having enough or not ever achieving what you want to achieve, that is a result of who we are inside. And when you become aware of that, oh man, I have had money problems all my life. I've had debt hanging around me all my life. This is because of what you are inside. And that has to change. And it takes a lot of work to make that change. And that's so much what I'm trying to get across here. So that you can make a lot of money doing this. So you can achieve your financial goals and higher. And if you don't believe that you can, how did Henry Ford put it? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. It's all about what you believe. Once you believe it, then you know it, and then you achieve it. It's that simple. All right, I could keep going on this roll. Let's get back to this with Mark.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so because I know what people will pay. I know what people will pay for baby stuff and things like that. And if they want it, it's commemorative. That's what they'll pay. And that's what they'll pay for it. So I don't know what to say to that guy, but I mean, he should be charging at least $75 for that thing.
Yeah, well, he's pricing based on his own sense of worth and his understanding of the people around him. And not only is he not making as much money, he's not making as many sales. Because the pricing structure that he has, if it's in the market that you are dealing with, then the pricing structure looks cheap to other people. That price will turn off. Price is perception. So I guess we've kind of laid down the foundation to just kind of give some reflection on the journey you've been and what you might tell. I mean, put it in 2 sentences. What will you tell somebody who is not who's just getting started at this point that they should look at, like the first 2 or 3 things?
First 2 or 3 things, I think, understand what you sell. Don't sell 1,700 things. Sell one thing and do it really, really well. Become known for it. I'm becoming known for this. Number 2 is get really clear about the value of your time and your skill in your craft. If you do it well, you're a craftsperson. And craftsperson take time, energy, and effort to learn their craft, and there's value to the consumer in that. And thirdly, know who your consumer is. Know who your avatar, which we talked about in the previous ones, but those 3 things I think are critical. And then that becomes a mind shift, like a mindset around it. My customer wants high quality or whatever. My customer is prepared to pay for it, then go where they are. And then this is what I do. The CNC can do 1,000 things. Like, it's amazing what it can do, but don't try and do every one of them. Become, kind of a jack of all trades, become a master of one.
So, there's a saying that it goes like this: riches are in the niches. And if you're not in a niche, you're not going to earn the income. So speaking of income, one of the things that you said in our first mentoring session is you want to be able to create $100,000 a year business.
Yep.
And so right now you are about 60K if your numbers are able to stay consistent.
Correct.
And you're building up some other stuff.
Yep.
So there's still a journey to keep going on. And so I guess there's several things to talk about. So you sent me an email. You said you got a bunch of stuff you want to catch me up on. So
Yeah.
It looks like you got some things going. So why don't you share that? And what I want you to make sure you do with this is to tie it back to this journey of mentoring that you've been going on.
Okay.
As to how that has the impact on you. Because I want to help people understand why it is so vital to have a guide or a mentor to keep you on track and get you in the right direction, and why without a mentor it doesn't work. At least it takes much longer. So
Yeah.
So what are some of this new news, and how has that come about as a result of mentoring, of being mentored?
Sure. So let's talk about just so everyone understands, I've kind of now broken the business up into 3 key areas. Area number 1 is wholesale service to a winery I partnered up with, and we have created a relationship. So that's number 1. I recommend wherever you can, if you can add a wholesale or a retail direct where you're supplying a custom product to somebody, that's going to be a cornerstone of your income. And you can begin to create a relationship with that person, and they become a selling channel for you. You make a lot more product, a little bit less margin, but it's consistent and it's with an established business that you're tying your brand off of. So let's talk about that one first. So as I mentioned kind of in the preamble there, the beginning of this started with wine barrel staves and putting his logo on it. That's then evolved into several other products. I got humble for a while and went down and helped him out with some labor, and was mowing lawns and raking stones out of fields. That built a stronger relationship with him. And now I'm part of their product team. So now I'm meeting with the brand manager, I'm meeting with their events coordinators to look at building and developing out branded products and items for sale, not to the retail customer that come in the store, but to the event-based customers, where one order is 70 units, one order is 50 units. So that's the stuff that we're doing, and it's repeatable, and I don't have to be creative. I just plug it in and go. So right now, when we look at that as the forecast, what they've brought forward to me, the event side of it, we're looking at potentially 3 weddings a month, maybe 4. So that is the next that's for the next 2 months. So that's about a little under $1,000 a month off of that. It's the event side that's getting me excited. And we're looking at least one event a week. So that's 4 events. And we're looking at creating some wine barrel stave custom items, and each one of those is going to go for $50. So $50 times, well, I don't even know the math here. Let's see, what is that? 50 times 50. So that's $2,500. Is that right? That can't be. Hold on. This is now where I second guess. 50, no, it's 250. 50 times 50 equals, hold on. Oh my goodness. 50 times 50, Mark.
It's 2,500.
Yeah, it is 20. That's $2,500.
Huh.
Holy shit. So, so yeah.
And that's for one event.
That's for one event, and they want me to supply one per week. So that would be, what? Hold on. Times. I haven't done the math. It's literally just, okay. So that's 10,000 a month forecast. So that's 120,000 just off that line. I'm going to cut that in half just because, so that could be 5,000 a month.
Well, weddings don't tip. Do they have weddings literally every weekend?
So the partnership is, so during the summer months, the winery has a wedding Friday and Saturday every day booked from now until the end of October. So we're a month and a half right now. So there's, what's that? That's 6. That's 12 weddings between now and the end of October.
Okay. But just so you know, this is the peak wedding season.
Yeah, it's the corporate events that then go through the rest of the year, because they're going to be doing one corporate event a day, Monday through Sunday. Sunday through Thursday, they're going to be doing a corporate event, and those are the ones that they'll be doing like a plaque or something like that, a commemorative thing at $50 a piece. So yeah, and it's, I mean, it's going to be like $100 value, $150 value looking thing, but yeah, I mean, it's cost. So I put my costs in there, and I put my profit and my labor, and it came out to $50. That I was comfortable with that product, with that price. And so if I'm doing 50 of those per event, you know, it's a day's worth of work. Well, probably 2 days with finishing and stuff.
Right. And
You
you
know,
get
so there's
supplies for pretty much free, right?
yeah, the material's all free.
So yeah, that's quite a markup.
Yeah.
Not bad. All you have to do is do a quick edit to each file for each group, and
Pretty much.
okay.
Yeah, the thing I need to learn now is how to make a file that's got a curve on it. So the wood's not flat, but the wood's on an arc. So if anybody knows how to do that, I'll pay you to help me do that.
There you go. Get a little mark. Okay, so you're getting some. So they've contracted with. They are now doing corporate events.
Yeah, they're the exclusive winery to do corporate events with them. And right now they're talking at least one a day. But they've got the lunch hour and they've got the evening hour. So they potentially could be doing 2, but right now they're only going to do 1 a week for the from now until the end of the year.
The nice thing about corporate is there's always a little more money in that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And that I didn't say that. They told me, they're like, the budget is whatever the budget is. We just tell them what to do, and then they write the check. And these aren't like small little companies. These are, you know, major Canadian corporations, even American corporations coming over to Canada for, you know, a better event and the dollar and all that kind of stuff, just coming across from in New York.
Winery.
Pardon me?
What's the acreage of the winery?
That's a small winery. It's only 10 acres, but he's built a winery where he does all of the pressing and all that stuff. But he built it out so that he could have 100 pre-COVID and post-COVID. He could have 180 people in for a wedding. So right now he is the largest I'm going to call it like hotel-based event center in the entire region by a factor of 3. So and he's driving distance. He's much closer to the prime hotels. So the hotels are looking at saying, okay, I can shuttle more people back and forth on our bus and all that stuff. And he produces, again, learning from him. He walked into the winery industry, not knowing anything about the history behind it. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll sell this bottle for, I'll make up a number, but I'll sell this bottle for $30 when the guy down the street is selling pretty much the exact same bottle. The juice came off the exact same farm because they all kind of consolidate stuff together. And the guy's selling it for like $19.99. He's selling the same bottle for $30. He puts a fancy label on it, and he comes across as a high-end winery. and it's, I mean, everything is to the T. It is, the moment you walk in, the experience is just that much better. He charges a premium price for it. And so again, because of the boards that I produce and the quality that I'm producing for him, his customers saw it and now want the same. So again, know your customer, know your niche, and know you what you do.
Yep, that paints a good picture.
Sorry, your audio is breaking up.
I don't know why. 1, 2, 3. Yes, no, yes, no.
That's better. That's much better. Yeah.
Okay, what's a bad wire? Paints a good picture of the price is perception, and
Yeah.
or the price creates perception.
Yeah.
And so this goes back to talking to whoever's watching this. When you downgrade your price, you are also downgrading their perception of your quality.
Yeah.
And so that's and when you're cluttering up your store or your table at a craft booth, you are downgrading the experience that the customer can have.
Yeah.
With you, like at the show, Mark, you went to your first big show, and that's the other thing I wanted to point out. I made a note, and I wanted to say this. You took a chance. You didn't really have anything set up, and you just signed up for the show.
Correct.
So you took a risk before you knew you had the security of things working.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that an entrepreneur does. That it's one of the traits of an entrepreneur that has a greater chance of success, is taking a risk, diving in before he's got all his ducks in a row. A lot of people, I've done it myself. You wait for the perfect moment, and there is no perfect moment.
No.
And it's interesting once you take that risk and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to give it a shot. So you just sign up. You've committed yourself. You're literally overcommitted because you don't have the ability to accomplish the thing, but that forces you into a role of taking action.
Right.
That's the other aspect of business. Nothing happens without action. Nothing happens without people getting eyeballs on you.
Right. So the second answer is the other part of the business. Where is it going? So based on the trade show. So for everyone that hasn't watched the other ones, please do. But just to summarize, I had an opportunity to go into a marketplace at a cottage retreat area, and so it's again, it's my avatars there, my customers there. I didn't have any product made. I had to rush and get it done. And when I went there, I didn't know what to expect other than I might sell, 3 or 4 boards. I ended up selling, I can't remember the numbers. I believe it was like $1,800 for the product. So I was the second highest vendor there, and it was good. But what I did is I networked. And so I give board butter away. It's the stuff that you use to condition your board. If people were coming by, I'd ask them, do you have a board? Trying to engage them, because everyone has a cutting board if they eat, right? So, is it all scratched up? Here's a thing of a conditioner, and here's a card on how to maintain and care for your board. And I gave a great analogy comparison that it's like a cast iron pan. You need to season it. You need to take care of it. A good quality cutting board needs to be seasoned, needs to be nurtured and cared for. And so everyone's light bulb, they all got it. Everyone has a cast iron, their grandma's cast iron pan. Everyone doesn't know how to use the damn thing. Same with these cutting boards. Everyone doesn't know how to clean up these really cherished family heirlooms. So this was the process. I am still, like, as of this, what is it, Thursday? So what are we today? We're Monday today. But on Thursday, I'm going and picking up handles for somebody's heirloom cutting board that is like, I think they said from the early 40s or 50s. And so the board's trashed, but they want to reuse these handles and put them on the board. So I'm meeting them to go pick these handles up. Where'd that come from? It came from the booth and me talking to them and handing them the board butter. They tried to fix the board, they couldn't. So they called me because my name and my email address were on, or my website was on the label, right? The other thing I did is I connected with the other people that were at the booth. And so I intentionally went around and shared with them what I do. I gave them board butter. Here you go for your boards at home. Here's how you take care of it. brought my board with me just to show them when it was slow times when we were getting ready in the morning. And so what ended up happening is I ended up connecting with one of the women that was there, and she and I sat down, and she shared with me all of the good events where high-end customers are. Don't go here, go here. This event's hard to get into. Contact this person, tell them I referred you, all that kind of stuff. So now I'm in line and on waiting list right now for, I think I'm at 32 different events from now till December 2022. So yeah, so I mean, again, that's part of it, because now people know me as the cutting board guy and the high end cutting board guy. So that's the second line of the business. So I've got my first events coming up at the end of October. And so I'm building all of the stuff I need to. I'm building inventory. I'm making sure that, you know, my boards are the highest quality. I'm the guy that's taking it to the final finish. Like lots of people are, oh, you don't need to do it. I do, because the boards, I'm charging a premium price for it. So I need to have that quality of finish. And then the third side of the business is the daddy-daughter signs and such. And so Sophie and I have been chatting about this, and we're going to go forward with it. She wasn't keen on it. She was keen on it, and then I started talking to her about all the details about Avatar and who's going to buy the signs. Well, anybody who needs a sign. So we're trying to narrow that down, and we kind of got into it and figured that whole thing out. So I guess the last thing to share is the story, right? So when I'm out presenting myself to markets, to vendors, and anybody that's interested in showing our stuff, is story number one is about me personally, the challenge I've had, the career change, COVID, et cetera, et cetera. People get it, people understand it, and people want to help and support somebody who's had, you know, some challenges and trying to rebuild themselves up again. So that part of the story and getting clear on who I am and what I do is becoming really effective. Just this past weekend, we were at an event. It was the first event I've attended since COVID happened, and it felt a little weird, but people were asking me what I do. And I said, oh, I'm a woodworker. Oh, what do you do? I pulled out my business card. I showed them an example of the boards I make. And then I pulled up my Instagram and I showed them a couple shots of what I do. And they're like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And I said, yeah, you know, it's fascinating. Don't tell the bride and groom, but I'm going to give them a gift of one of these things. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I showed them an example of what a gift would look like. And they're like, I got a wedding come up. Can I get your card? Of course you can, right? So these are the things that happen. So now I'm clear about what I do. I don't say, oh, I make stuff with a CNC router, because outside the community, nobody knows what the hell the thing is, right? They know what a cutting board is. They know what a customized cutting board is. They know what personalization is. And so that was the conversation. And I did that I think I did 5 times at this event, right? Because I didn't know anybody besides the groom and a few family members, and that was it. And there was like 70 people there. So, you know, it's a way to, you know, kind of change the conversation. Go, oh, I'm a woodworker. Oh, wow, that's kind of neat. And then so that's on that front. So I don't know what's going to come of it, but it's coming. And then the third component is with Sophie, the story component. So
Sophie is your daughter.
Sophie's my daughter. She's 11 and a half. Back when she was a young child, and we'd drive down to grandma's a lot, we'd play this thing called Daddy Daughter Bakery, and it was D&D Bakery, and we'd like tell stories, and you know, she'd take an imaginary phone call and say, oh, we need, you know, 12 chocolate muffins and with sprinkles on it and stuff, and we'd pretend to mix the batter, and then you know, it was just a great storytelling imagination thing. Anyway, it spun off into now making signs. So she gave me the names of all of her classmates, and we're going to make signs for every one of her classmates as a gift to all of her friends for coming back physically into school. And so that's the start of kind of where this is going to go. And then I'm presenting to the school in 2 weeks that I'm going to do a fundraising program with them. So anybody that wants signs or anything like that, a percentage of all sales will go back as a fundraiser instead of selling chocolate bars and junk food. They like the idea. So
I want to ask you a question on this fundraiser thing. Is this going to be, are you going to be talking to them, or is it going to be you and Sophie talking to the school?
Both of us. Okay. Both of us. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. With anything there.
Story, yeah, that's the story that's going to spread around.
Exactly.
Yeah, people are going to support. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
So then the third thing, so the next thing is the move. So we're moving, and I'm rearranging my shop, because when I first built out my shop, I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know what business I was in. I just know that I was acquiring equipment, and okay, that's going to go there, and that's going to go there. So I'm in the process of actually selling off some of the equipment I'm not using. And by the way, to get started, buy used equipment. Go to Facebook Marketplace. Learn how to fix tools. Okay, and like you can get a $500 table saw for $100 and fix one of the bearings, and it works perfectly. It's amazing. I haven't paid retail for anything, and sometimes if they're selling a marketplace, they're buying. You want the table saw, but they're also selling a I don't know, a jigsaw and a bandsaw. Buy all three of them and sell the other two at a markup, because we know how to sell. And you end up, in many cases, I didn't even pay for any of the equipment I have, because I bought in bulk and then sold off, and bought wholesale, sold retail. And so so that was the thing I did. So the shop is, I've laid out the shop to be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, so that I can do the batch work that I'm doing, and I can do and then all the stuff that's going to happen for the CNC is going to be in the basement. So I've got all that set up. So yeah. I want people to come over and see what's going on. I want to be able to film some of the stuff, and I want people to see that I'm organized and not
that's good.
a shithole of a shop right now.
Yeah, you're networking, and so that's something you pointed out. Good. So it sounds like your network's getting built pretty strong. So that's good.
Yes.
And it's going in the right direction. So we've done a lot of talking and storytelling at this point. Now it's time to get down to the brass tacks and start setting you up for the next level.
Yes.
I guess it was a good reflection on this first leg of your journey. And so, do you feel that you've seen the success? How do you feel about it before we start the next?
Yeah, I couldn't have gotten, Garrett. I'll be honest, I couldn't have gotten here without you. I had the ideas. You helped me get clear. You helped me get streamlined. You supported a lot of the kind of ideas that I had, and then you also helped me get really wicked focused. The whole idea is the riches are in the niches. That is, I'm living it. Like it actually works. The other thing I think that for me specifically in my relationship on a personal level within my family, knowing that you were there to kind of hold me accountable, keep me focused, and all that stuff. I got a lot of support from that. And it's like, when are you talking to Garrett next? What did Garrett say? So now I'm having ideas, and it's like, okay, well, what did Garrett say? Because it's working, it's paying off, and it's bringing cash in, and that's exciting. And I mean, I still don't have it up on a whiteboard because now the whiteboard's packed. But I mean, seeing that 614 goal, I mean, that's the family sees that, and they know what's going on, and they know that happened. I mean, I did all the work. Don't get me wrong, I did the push-ups, but you told me how to and coached me and supported me in getting there. And I think Garrett, just from a public perspective, thank you. You helped me get this journey on the right track and moving forward. So I am forever grateful for that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, well, we're going to start at the next level.
Yes, sir.
Yep. It's going to be some more.
Some ass kicking.
So yeah, well, okay. So you want to get to 100K,
yep.
And just write this note. Okay, so you want to get to 100K a year business, and you actually accelerated pretty quickly. We just don't know the consistency of this yet. Your cutting board market is all going home now to their official homes. They'll be doing that over the next couple of months, and so
that's correct. Yeah, within the next month, they're all going home.
So, what is your idea of tapping into that market? I've said this before, and I want to make sure you understand this. We've gone through it. You've done it. Is staying in touch with your customers. Anyone who is wanting to start a business, and you think the sale is the end of the game, you're always going to struggle. You want to go to people who have already bought from you, because now they've got a relationship with you and they're more willing to come to you and buy. So with you, so you have said you've been in touch with your customers. You're clearly talking to other people and focusing on the networking, which is
Yes.
another fundamental thing. And given the events that are coming up, you possibly could achieve your 100K a year goal shortly. But I want to get back to the seasonal idea of what you're doing. So your market is 50% of your market's going to be heading back south into the United States.
Correct.
And they're going to start doing some different things. They're going to start doing their wintertime sports. And how does that change their behavior? So you can continue to serve that market within the niche in a unique way that's a little bit different.
Yeah. So
I don't know if building boards are going to continue as well as they've been.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know to that market, but again, in speaking with my friend Kate, there are markets coming up, fall markets, and winter Christmas markets, and then spring markets that are coming up. So all again geared towards the avatar. So from that perspective, I'll be shifting more towards that market side of things. But as far as the existing network of people that I have and their emails and such, for the people that didn't purchase when they had the opportunity, they're on a next batch inventory list. Like, so basically what I back up here. What I've done is I've offered the ability for people to make custom boards, so they can choose all of the different color combinations and sticks that they can. So they have a play in the process. And so I've got several people now that are kind of mulling about that decision. And then along with that, I've got people that I'm talking to that say, look, if you do another run with yellow heart in it, or if you do another one with purple heart in it, let me know, because I'm looking for something this size. So at the booth, when I was up there, I had certain sizes. They wanted something bigger, something smaller. And so now I've got a list of all of those. So when I do my next run after I get the new shop set up, then I'm going to be telling everyone, hey, I'm going to be making these. So if you want one, put a deposit down, and then you'll be first in line for those. So that'll be happening in, well, let's see, what are we now? The shop will be set up. Shop will be set up in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that'll probably start the first week of October.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing with that one. The other people that I still have on the list that haven't purchased at all, that weren't interested in my next runs, I'm adding on to the offering a cheese board. So it's the exact same board, but then it has like one of those wired cheese cutter things in it. Apparently there was a guy that used to do this in some of the markets in the area. He's since passed on, unfortunately. So there's a void. No, there's nobody selling these things, and apparently people are asking for them. So, you know, I feel sorry, and you know, and pass on my condolences to his family. But there's also an opportunity. So apparently he passed away at the beginning of the summer, and nobody's been coming in to fill the market. So people have suggested that I do. So that's the direction we're doing. Pardon me?
How have you found out about this market that being open, that people are asking about it?
Yeah. So again, networking. I'm talking to the people that know these events, and I'm also talking to the owners and the managers and the vendor selection committee. And so during that process, you have to some of the higher end events, you've got to do a full portfolio submission. And so in there, it's here's what I do, here's what I make. And then several of them come back with questions saying, hey, do you also do these three things? One of them is, do you do knives and knife handles? No, I don't. Do you do utensils, like big salad bowl utensils and ladles and things like that? I don't do that. And then the third thing I was asked is, do you do cheese boards? And I said, no, I said, I don't right now, but it's a very easy add-on to what I do. And it's very much in line with the product offering I have. So I'd be open to do that. Why do you ask? And this is where I've been told this. So he apparently was at 3 different trade shows or market shows, and all 3 of them asked if I would fill in that gap.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you had repeat discussions about that with different people.
Yeah, from 3 different markets.
Yeah,
and geographically far regions, like, you know, from where I sit right now, each one of them is kind of an hour in a triangle from where I'm at. So
Okay.
kind of
All right.
interesting.
That's good then. So here's one of the other fundamentals that I see what Mark is doing, that if you're watching this mentoring session to take note of, is listen to what people say, because when you network with people and they show interest in what you do, they are going to tell you what they want.
Yep.
And if you listen, then you can key in on that. And taking mental notes is really important. Something you might want to think about, Mark, in some of your discussions, just to take note, is two things that came to my mind. One is making like a little lemon carving board.
Okay.
That, you know, as a freebie, right? Just right around Christmas time, or a time when they're going to remember. Maybe in the dead in the beginning of February, right? When it's cold and everybody's at home cuddling around our fireplace, send them a little gift lemon carving, but just, you know, size of a coaster, right? That's up to you if you want to do that. But what you're doing is you're just throwing out a little gift out there, and that kicks in the law of reciprocity. Have I talked to you about that before?
Yes, you have.
Okay, I'll reiterate here. The law of reciprocity is when you give unexpectedly to somebody, or you over deliver what they expect, then there's a sense of indebtedness that they have to you, and that will increase the likeliness that they will be a customer in the future, because nobody likes to be indebted to other people.
Yeah.
So
And I'll give you a perfect example of that is at the trade show, is at the marketplace. I gotta find a name for these things, but at the marketplace that I did in the beginning of August, I was handing out board butter, like, to people that, you know, if they had the characteristics of my avatar and they were expressing interest but just weren't prepared to buy, I was handing them out. I was asking, do you have a board at the cottage? Yes, I do. Is it all cut up? Yes, it is. Take this and rub it on it, and it will help to preserve the life of it. And I gave them an instruction card of that, because I took notes of how many. So I think I handed out 17. I don't have my notes because they're packed away, but I think I handed out 17. I've had 6 repeat calls or calls back in from those 17. And I mean, grand total, it cost me like $5. So, you know, I mean, that's good marketing, and it's pulling people back in. So, you know, I think that's a good thing.
right. And one of the things that you did was you showed interest in them beyond what most people are going to do. So yeah, do you have a board at home? Right? You were showing concern. Is it chopped up? Oh man, you somehow you made them aware of that, and by virtue of giving them something, it's and their, what's the word, their caliber of self-image maybe is they have a higher standard. And
Well,
suddenly you're aware of a chopped up cutting board. And here's a
it's
free
funny.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you this one then. So I did that on the Saturday. No, I did that on the Friday. And then on the Saturday, the guy's wife came back, and it was like, so I hear you cutting board shamed my husband. I need a new cutting board. And she bought a cutting board, right? So I didn't deliberately, intentionally shame him, but, you know, he came back. I have a question for you about another freebie. And I don't know if you know this or not, but so these are the offcuts of the boards, right? So I've got, you know, lots of them. And they're thin. And I was using them as bookmarks. They're too thick for the way they are right now. They're too thick for bookmarks. But I've been looking at a way to take them and run some epoxy over it so it all is nice and strong and all that kind of stuff, and then be able to like engrave some words on it. So maybe take a bunch of these things, stick them together on, you know, and put some like I don't know, 1/8 of an inch of epoxy on them, and then put them on the CNC, and then carve out a bunch of you know, things. And then, because this is even firewood because of the glue that's in there. So you know, I'm just thinking, what can I do with all those scraps? And that was kind of an idea that I had to make. What do you call it? Bookmarks.
Yeah.
You know, cookie bookmarks.
Yeah, they're a gift with it. And maybe it's something Sophie can play with her table, or you can sell it as a $15 item, right? As that, yeah, $20. $20 item. And
$20. Yeah, because the competition's selling for 5, I'm selling for 20.
Yeah, I think it's good. Well, if you make it, the competition is what?
I don't know. I'm just making it up. But like if I were to go into Barnes and Noble and stuff like that, I'm thinking I could pick up or Chapters for Canadians. I would think that I could pick up a thing for $5.
Yeah, these are cookbook
Yeah.
marks, the bookmarks. So you can sell them for $25 for when someone buys your board. Oh, here, here's a gift.
Yeah.
And somehow make them know it's a $25 bookmark, right?
Yeah.
And it complements their board, so it's a perfect match. And so yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
And then that they think it's a with the perception of $25, handmade. They don't care if we're getting it for free. When you plant that bug in them, so that's a good idea. Okay. I want to get back to this. How are you going to hammer this change in your market as the seasons change?
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm focusing on is looking at upselling additional products. So with that, somebody has asked me to do coasters. So doing the same type of board patterns, but in coasters. It's a little bit more labor, but that's okay. And looking at selling those as gifts. So then the other part of it is people have asked me for smaller boards that they can give as gifts. So these would be like your garlic board or your lemon board or your bar board for cutting up limes, lemons, stuff like that as gifts. So I've been asked by customers to make those. So I think from that perspective, there's an opportunity to go and upsell them as well and reach out to that list of people that I've been developing and follow up with them. So that's the other part. Other than that and the upcoming marketplaces and events, that's what I've got so far.
Okay. It sounds like you're on track. What I'm curious about so the weddings are going to last for the next couple of months. And then
next month and a half, 6 weeks.
Yep. And then they're going to start to taper off.
Correct. Yeah.
When you step into corporate, so you're starting to step into holiday corporate stuff. So that's good. And then the market will taper off after the holidays. So
yeah, there's no events between December. I think it's December 20th up through the last week of January. So January there's no events, and then there's a couple women's only events around Valentine's Day and things like that for single women. I think Renee might be there. And so I'm trying to get into 2 of those specifically, where as a vendor to women's only events, kind of pamper themselves for that. I don't even know if I'm allowed in because I was told there's no male vendors, so I don't even know if I'm allowed in.
Okay, well maybe your wife.
Sorry, you're breaking up there again.
Maybe. Can you got me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, maybe Katie can pick it up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is possible. Yeah, maybe Katie and Sophie can do it.
All right. So there's one thing I want to ask. I think one of the things I was thinking about, but it looks like you're doing okay and you're networking. We are a culmination of our 5 closest people.
Yes.
Right? As far as our lifestyle, what we earn, what have you. And because you're dealing more with business people nowadays, and you've got a good contact idea of Renee from the entrepreneur standpoint, I don't think this is an issue. But I want to make sure you understand some of the foundational stuff that you have to make sure that you do for yourself inside your inside work in order to be able to achieve that. So it's one of those things, when you look at your 5 closest friends and you take their general, what their lifestyle is, how much money they make, and then you average it out, you are pretty much going to make the average of them. So if your 5 closest friends are making $85K a year when it averages out, that's where you'll peak out at, because you'll fluctuate around there, but you won't go above it, because we become what we hang around. right? We become the environments that we are involved with and the people that we're associated with. And so I want to kind of make sure that if you want, the $100,000, it's not if. I mean, if I'm going to mentor you, you're going to hit the 100K because that's the goal you set, right? And that means that you're going to have to be willing to make some changes in that area as well. And this is where a lot of people have a lot of difficulty. Well, I like myself as I am. And this is the one thing. I like myself as I am is what has a person where they're at that they may not be financially happy with. And that means there's a part of the I like myself as I am that has to change. And the other one is to be willing to look at the relationships and start to distance yourself from the ones that will keep you stuck down there.
Yep.
If you have someone that's a 60K a year earner and you're relatively close to them, then as much as we like them, we have to be willing to start making some changes.
Yep.
And so I just want to kind of check you on that, is where your 5 closest friends are at financially as a yearly income.
Yeah, so from a former life, I do believe that that's a truth. The other part of it is from the kind of weird life I've led over the last 5 years or so. I would say that any of the people that don't get me, don't get me. You know what I mean? I don't hang around with people that don't get this way of life and the kind of ups and downs of entrepreneurship and business ownership and trying to make a go of something. So just kind of looking at the handful of people, yeah, I mean, they're all 100+ earners. I'm the lower end of that average. I'm the one that has been, but shortly will no longer be pulling the average.
That's good. You want to be the brokest person in the group. Or the
that was absolutely hellish sure on on Labor Day weekend when we went up and visited a friend. He retired at 40 because he was just in one of those positions where the stocks kept on multiplying as he was, just an employee and getting stocks, and the company finally got bought out, and he did very well for himself. And the community that I was hanging out in, there was Blake was there and Renee was there all day long, and like, oh yeah, well, I'm kind of pissed off at these 16 acres that I've got. I can't get more votes per acre on the board and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I just spent the extra 15,000 for the bigger engine on my boat because why not? It's like that. Those are conversations that it's. I got a lot of reasons right now why not, but so it's just the mindset of the conversations that we were having over lunch and dinner with these people. It was good because I had for quite some time I had forgot that people have those kind of conversations, that what, you got to work hard, you've got to put in the time and energy, and you've got to do those things. And it was a good wake-up call and a refresher. And it was funny because I shared with them some of the conversations we've had, and one of the guys asked me over lunch point blank, he's like, so what do you think you can make out of your business this year? And I said, I'm looking at, I'm targeting 100,000 this year. And he goes, well, if you do this, he goes, and bring on 2 staff, you might be able to get to $250,000 within the first year. I mean, that's the kind of way he's thinking. And I'm like, okay, let's talk more about that. And, and so he was kind of sharing with some ideas. I'm not there yet, but now it's okay. We're having this conversation. This guy automatically is going to, right off the top, he's like, okay, how can we get you 2.5 times where you're at, where your goal is today, let alone, I'm working on my 2nd month of a consistent income, right? To get to the 60, to get to the 100. And these guys are already kind of talking like much bigger, but, and then I'm meeting the 17-year-old kid who, he's like, well, yeah, that's fantastic. We should set up a website and da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, you want to do that? You want to help me? And it's
yeah. So this is good. You're hanging around the right people, and so this is one of the foundations that's accelerating you by heading down this road and making, what you've been doing by networking with people, communicating with people, identifying your avatar. You know that Renee hangs around in the neighborhoods that you wanted to target anyway, but now you understood her. And it's all bringing you into a higher standard of thinking anyway. And that's drawing those people to you. And so this guy says, oh, you can just grab his ideas and let them roll around, because you are on target to not just hit your 100K, but to exceed it. And
if this corporate stuff, not if, but when this corporate stuff goes the way we're talking right now, that just right off the bat, that's $120,000, $140,000 right there. And that's an opportunity now to bring somebody on to do the work.
Yes.
So that I can then, because now I can afford it, right? Now I can afford the shop assistant to help be able to just change out parts and change names on the file and then run another 40 through the machine. And so those are the kind of things. It's like, okay, now do I look at a second machine? Can I be more efficient? All that kind of stuff. So that's already, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do to get a dedicated laser so I can do laser and engraving, right? And CNC router work, right? So those kind of conversations are going right now. And again, how do I produce more, right? How do I get more realtors to buy more thank you gifts? How do I get, how do I support the wine industry? And how do I, support these events? Right now, the two biggest event coordinators in the entire region I'm in talks with. Like, there's no one else bigger than these guys. Again, it's all because of the relationships and being humble and helping and supporting, one of my clients and friends. But the other thing too, so the bit that I'm kind of sitting on right now is the growing too fast and not being able to produce the quality and kind of getting ahead of myself. And that's the feeling that's going on inside my gut right now is, okay, yeah, that's all great, but slow down, don't rush it. You might kind of blow up, that kind of thing, because that happened to me before.
You do have several things going on. You've got the winery that is that's growing exponentially, rapidly on.
Growing faster than I ever anticipated.
Yep, and then you get the cutting boards thing. So you may find, I don't know, pay attention, talk to the winery, to get to understand the seasonal cycle with the winery, because there may be a drop in that cycle as well, and then you want to have something to fill that gap. I wanted to get this thought out that I've been holding on to, this bookmarks. You can send I wanted to ask you if Rewarding Renee uses cookbooks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then
They're art in her kitchen.
That's a Christmas gift, right? That's just before the big Christmas, like what do I want to say? The big Christmas move for her begins. Get that in her first. Whoever's first is remembered. Whoever's last is remembered, but all the noise in the middle is forgotten. So if you can land on her doorstep, just short, I don't know, do you guys have Thanksgiving up there?
We do. Our Thanksgiving is in early October, so we don't have the November Thanksgiving. So in Canada, what we do is we end up having our own kind of Canadian Black Friday kind of thing, and then we follow suit with the American Black Friday concept, and all the marketing and hype is all. Okay. So we end up having 3 seasons, like 3 cycles.
Right. So when does the Christmas mentality fully set in generally up in your area?
Depending on your age.
Realize, oh, it's Christmas time. Let's get up the lights. Let's go shopping. Let's buy all the stuff. When does it really happen?
So depending on your immigration status and your age, it is either after Canadian Thanksgiving or it's after November 11th. November 11th is the Canadian Remembrance Day. It's a very solemn holiday, right? We remember all of our vets. I'm on the side that you don't do anything Christmas until after Remembrance Day. It's in my position, my point of view, it's taboo. So on the 12th of November, totally Christmas crap, I don't care. But up until then, we have a focus on our vets and those fallen. So
Okay.
Then there's another marketplace that says, yeah, Christmas shit's going out like next week. Like back to school is done. And I'm starting to see like Christmas decorations at Walmart and at the Home Depot. Like, are you freaking kidding me? It's just after Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the big push I'd say for most people is kind of either it's two waves. It's either going to be middle of October or it's going to be middle of November. That's when people start buying.
So the idea is pick out the time when they're shifting. So I think the November 11th is the time.
I think so, yeah.
To take that big mental shift. Okay, our Memorial Day is done, and now it's time for our celebration time. And so really, you want to be the first one on her doorstep. And I would, if you're able to, focus on getting those bookmarks made, and even for your potential customers that are relatively strong potentials.
Yeah.
And make sure when you give them, it's a handwrite card.
Yes.
Handwrite it.
I remember when I got your handwritten card too with the bits I bought, and it was a nice touch.
Yep, and you obviously personalize the card and try to take a minute to it only needs to be like 4 sentences, whatever, but in it, if you can reflect on something that was said between you two, that is unique to that person.
So that's something I did do. I took notes. I wasn't slammed because the product that I have is, I don't have 10 people at the table at one time. So I took notes on every person that I talked to. So I have a reference point to go back to them. Back in my marketing and sales days in a former life, there was an idea of, I don't know, like the 47 things you should know about every one of your customers, right? And then you add 10 on specifically for your own product or niche or industry. And so I've always kind of had that mindset is, what's that one defining thing that I can go back and reference that's not cheesy, but it's honest and it's authentic, right? Like, that kind of thing.
So. Yep. So that's a good one. And once you get that process made, refined with the bookmarks, that's when you bring in a kid and pay him $15 an hour, whatever you pay, to have them just punch them out.
Yeah.
Right, and get a bunch of them made. Then they're done. If you're willing to go that route, you're making that's inexpensive. It's like I just hired a girl to take care of some of my stuff. Right. To take care of, I have to put labels on my bit containers, right? So I'll spend 3 hours doing that, or I can pay someone $17 an hour doing that, so I can make content teaching people. So, all right. So work on the bookmarks, because that's kind of important to hit them then. And is in Canada. So in the U.S., after New Year's, we have this big dry spell up until Easter. Of lack of holiday. It's kind of blasé. I remember work. It's like, oh my God, I got 3 months before you get a day off, right? So if you can find something to just throw out there to your customers and your potential customers, the strong potentials, something during that lull.
So we have Family Day, which is a stat holiday. It's in February. And I think it's only so that we could have a break in there. So we got Family Day, Valentine's Day. I don't know, maybe some of the women watching could chime in this, but would it be okay if your husband bought a cutting board for Valentine's Day? I don't know, but
I don't know.
not.
Well, that's a marriage time too.
Right.
So how have you targeted the wedding market besides?
I haven't. The wedding market right now has been exclusively through the winery doing wine barrel based stuff. My forecast for the spring is to actually do like gifts, like wedding gifts coming together, breaking bread, kind of that thing, and the messaging on the boards. That was kind of the thoughts that I had.
Okay. this comes back to expanding your avatar. Ideally, what you want to try to do is, I mean, I don't know, what I don't understand and what I want you to grasp hold of is, one is rewarding Renee going to stop buying your boards for a certain time period of the year.
Right.
And if that is falling in between some space around Valentine's Day, and how do you fill in that niche, and who is the Valentine's Day avatar, right?
Right.
And if you're going to hit that one, then you have to kind of plan that. The other one is the Christmas avatar, the Christmas rewarding Renee, right? This is another one, is do you want rewarding Renee to start thinking about giving your boards as a gift to her?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's probably the next step to take to hammer, is to make sure you get those bookmarks out to reward, something out to rewarding Renee.
Mhm.
Indicating, use some copyright, the wording that you use. For anybody who's watching this, when we say copy, Mark has been in the digital space, so he understands what I'm saying. Copy is what you write and what the person is going to be reading. So make sure your copy alludes to, this is a gift item that I can send, that wouldn't, let's see, who's rewarding Renee's friend? It's another rewarding Renee,
Yes.
right? Okay, so somehow you can allude to rewarding Renee can help her friends feel.
And it's rewarding Renee's staff and team members. Right. So I know specifically one Renee, she received a gift basket from somebody, and then she turned around and gave everyone else on her, like her executive team. I think she bought like 15 of them, and she gave all 15 of her direct reports gift baskets. So she called up the person and said, "Hey, I want 15, all the same to these people, and deliver them for me."
Okay.
So she did, the previous year she did charcuterie boards. So she gave everyone a charcuterie board.
Okay.
That was 15 charcuterie boards at $200.
And that's one of your Renees? That's one of
my, no, that's one of the people that Renee's based off of.
Okay.
So I know this woman quite well. And many of her attributes and some of the things that we've talked about, I don't think I've shared this with you, but I actually reached out and talked to her about some of these things. And I was like, so here's my avatar and here's what we're doing. Does this sound like you? And she's like, oh God, yeah, to the T. So I mean, I dialed it in pretty tight. And so she gave me a few little tidbits of insight about kind of, the prestige component. And if I could build my brand as a label, then, that's something that, people would buy into. So.
No, that's perfect. Because you took a customer and you kind of confided with them, right?
Yeah.
And they gave you some insights, so they like that. So that's a customer you could probably go back to and say, so do you know other people who might be interested, and can you refer me?
So let me ask you that. There's a question I had here on some of those things. So if I were to do, like, let's say it's Christmas and we did. So I go to Renee and I say, hey, Renee, just if you want to go and give this as a gift to people, here's a couple different options. Would you consider doing like a bulk discount if they bought like 10 or more kind of thing? Or is that devaluing the brand now?
Yeah, I don't like that because, because that is devaluing the brand. Your brand is unique to Renee, and she's paid with that feeling that this is me. Right. And then if you say, okay, now I'm going to mass produce at a discount, unless Renee is one that's, can I make a profit out of it too? Then she may be willing to do that. But
yeah, the Renees I know wouldn't be like that. No.
Yeah, you want to let her lead you to that kind of thing. No, that you do not do that.
But if she asks, do you do it?
If she asks, be the salesperson and start asking questions back. What do you mean? Why, just get a feel for it. Because what you want to do is get a feel for her, how it's going to reflect on her and her own emotional level as to what your boards mean to her. You know,
Yep.
one of the things you have to maintain is your boards are personalized. They are made one, you know, you take this long and you cut out 3 boards, that's it, right?
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that you have to maintain, that uniqueness. And maybe that's the way you can feed it back to Renee if she starts bringing it up, is every board's unique. So, you know, none of them are going to be the same.
Right. There's no, I don't mass produce, therefore I can't do a discount on that. I could though, I'm just thinking out loud here, I could give them a bookmark. So, you know, but what I can do for you, Renee, is I can, how about this? How about we put in a bookmark for each, for each of your friends, and that I can do for you.
Yeah. Now, the other thing you can do is if you have so if we didn't say earlier, rewarding Renee is Mark's customer. And I think you defined her a bit in the beginning. But you should have watched all the previous episodes. You'll understand what that means. You can lead Renee in some questions to see if that's a space that she's willing or wants to go into.
Sure.
And let your gut feeling decide whether that's a space to go to with her or not. And if not, stay away from it. Because yes, you can quickly take down that sense of quality and uniqueness for herself.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking, just as we're talking here, is this an opportunity to introduce daddy-daughter signs and such, and it's an opportunity to say, hey, by the way, you know, my daughter and I are doing something together, and this might be a fun gift that you can give to people. And they might, you know, again, one of the things that Renee definitely likes is an empowered young lady, and these women are successful. And so seeing that's something like this, so there could be a story along that.
Yep. Okay. So we got your next project. All right.
Good.
So first of all,
What is it?
Let's set up the financial goal for the next. What's the time frame you want to set up your goal?
What are we on? End of October, October 31st.
October 31st. So that means a month and a half. What do you want to hit?
Got the move, so I'm 2 weeks out. I did 6. So that was a stretch. Let's see if I can do 7.
Let's see if you can do 7.
I'll do 7.
Okay. Write it down.
7,000 by October 31st.
All right, 7K. Make yourself a thermometer.
I will do a proper one on the whiteboard. It is ready to go. It's ready. I've got a home for it. I've designed it where it's going in the shop.
Yep. You can reuse this one and let it stack on, because you'll see the accumulation even higher. So what you want to do, if you need to, redraw it. So you got so that would put your thermometer at 12.5 based on the goals we set.
Yep.
And make yourself that space that you have to fill.
Yep.
You need that visual. So I am not happy with the thermometer that you made, right?
I know you're not.
Yep. So let's get, it can be on a whiteboard, I don't care, but it's just, you know, it's not, you got a piece of paper that you got to carry around, and it needs to be on your wall, stuck there.
Yep.
Now I know you're moving, so keep your piece of paper there, make that that new thermometer. All right, that's 7K. I'm not really happy with that number. I think you should be pushing yourself harder. You got the move coming out.
That's a month, man. Shop's not set up until the 25th. So right. I'm down. Okay. I'm down without production. So
all right, we'll let it ride.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm looking at that saying that's realistically that's $7,000 in like 4.5 weeks. So
okay. Entrepreneurs that want to make money don't think realistically, right? We push ourselves outside the box.
Okay, well, fine. Okay, so fine. What do you think is a good number?
Given your circumstance, and the direction you're going to, I almost want to stay with that, but I'm thinking more like 8.5.
8.5. Okay. How about this? I'm going to push back. Let's say 7 as a minimum, but my stretch is 8.5. And at 8.5, I'll reward myself with something. I'll give myself something. I'll find something that I want, and I'll reward myself with it.
Okay. So here's where you want to go.
Yeah.
So is Sophie fully in the game?
School just started, so she got distracted.
Okay.
So I'm talking to her this weekend. Actually, I'm talking to her Wednesday, and I'm talking to her this weekend. So I'm going to confirm. She loves the idea. So this is the interesting thing. I'm looking at this I'm going to air quote partners here for a second. So if we look at it from a partner's perspective, she's excited about the design side of it, right? So she's got her tablet. She's able to design up signs and things like that. She's able to make, kind of people's names in fun fonts. She's looking on social media for fun memes that she wants to create and things like that. And she's finding things that other people have created that she thinks we can do better. So that's where she's totally jacked, and she's really excited about that part of it. The finance and the business and things like that, that's not there yet. But I have a feeling that once the money starts coming in, she'll get a lot more interested in it. I think that'll happen. Leads to an interesting question that I have on my notes of things to ask you. Find something online. It's an interesting product. Like it. And it's not being offered in our marketplace other than on, say, Etsy, and it's being shipped from Europe. What is your stance and position, or what is the kind of marketplace recommendation on replicating product?
Like Sophie stuff?
Yeah, on the Sophie side of things. So she's found a couple of things that she really likes, and she wants to make something like that.
Okay. All right. So Etsy is going to be a slow launch.
We're not talking about Etsy. No, we're talking about Etsy to put she's found things on Etsy she likes and she wants us to make. We're going to then turn around and sell.
Are you asking what kind of products to make?
No, I'm asking I guess the business component of okay, let's say it's a welcome sign that you created, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I go and take a picture of that and I remake it in Carveco, and I go and then design it and start selling it. Okay, or your that warrior file that you have, right? That thing that you did. I make up that and then I start selling it. What's kind of the marketplace or industry kind of understanding or acceptance of that?
I guess I'm following your question. The understanding of the marketplace.
Okay, so I find a product that somebody's selling online, right? Okay, yeah. So let's say it's something that you're selling on Etsy, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I can make that too. I make something that's a very close replica of what you've done, and then I start selling it under daddy-daughter signs and such. What is that like? Is that, would you be pissed off at me if I did that?
No, no. If as long as Sophie's part of it, right?
Absolutely, she's finding the stuff.
Because if she's not part of it, then then what you're doing, you're stepping outside your niche, and you're giving yourself a couple things to do. So she's an integral part of this. So that's fine. Just to get her, what you're doing is getting her feet wet. And so that's kind of cool. Another thing that you may want to do, if Sophie has got any bug of excitement about this, is get one of your Renees involved, right? To start talking about to Renee, or send out cards to Renee. Or that since Renee is supportive of young women, here's the daddy-daughter thing that we are starting out, and find out, word it in such a way, have Sophie write up a hello.
Okay.
Maybe you can just give a brief introduction because they know who you are, and then have Sophie write up a little letter. Hi, I'm Sophie, and Daddy and I are going to start this little thing, and because whatever reason, and get that out to Renee. Get that out to your existing customers first, your potential customers second, and anybody else third. That might be interested in that. So really the task is work on a letter with, have Sophie start to work on a letter that's talking to Renee. That's gonna inspire Renee to want to support her.
Yep.
One of the ways that you can do that is Sophie can ask Renee, or Sophie can, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing with my dad. But I don't really know what to be making. Can you give me some help and give me some ideas of what would be good products to make? And what she will get feedback, if Renee, rewarding Renee is really that type of person, she's going to be all about it. You're going to make a call to Renee and say, hey, my daughter Sophie sent me this letter. Just want to make sure, because this is what we're doing. You're priming Renee all over the place by doing it. And Renee, if she's truly supportive, she is going to find a way to buy. She's going to give the feedback. Sophie's going to make it, send it to Renee and say, is this what you're talking about? And then Renee is going to say, yes, exactly. How much is it? I want one. Right. With whatever changes that she wants. The beauty behind that is Renee is supporting the young lady. The young lady has made exactly what she talked about, plus maybe a little perk if you can. And of course, you helped get things started. And now Renee is almost committed to buying this, because here's the way this works. Is Sophie asked for guidance. Renee, by virtue of her virtues and values, is going to help and give the idea. And then what Sophie's going to do is literally do exactly what she said, which is an honor to Renee, because that says, I heard you, I see you, now I'm asking you, is this right? And Renee is, at a deep level, Renee is going to be thinking, she gave Sophie the guidance. Sophie followed the guidance and did it. And now Renee has to buy it from her in order to validate what she said.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And Renee's in the position that she can do that. And it's not a stretch for her. And it's a good reciprocity conversation.
Yeah. And Renee walked herself right into it without even knowing it. Is that because Sophie did it, Renee, I just want to say this in a different way for anybody who's watching this, is because Renee gave the guidance and the student followed the guidance and came back and said, is this what you're talking about? Renee she can't say, no, that's what I'm talking about, and turn her head, because I just told somebody, this is what you do. And that person did it. And if she came back, Renee cannot ignore that child that she supports did it. She is literally committed to make that purchase.
Yep. Yeah, I got you. That's really cool. Well, Sophie, you're going to watch this. So now this is what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay. We are an hour and a half, 40 minutes in. And I've got another meeting in 20 minutes. So you've got your goal set, draw your new thermostat.
Yeah.
I want you to make sure Sophie is on board with this.
Yeah.
But talk to Sophie. This is your next objective. Talk to her and talk to her about this whole idea of, you talked a little bit about avatars. Make sure she understands the difference between avatars. Yeah. And have her write up a little letter, and then, review it and see what your gut feeling is. Pass it to somebody who's not, talk to a first Renee, right? Say, this is what we're doing. This is what my daughter's writing up for other customers. What do you think? Get feedback from your customer, right? And now you're going to build up that, because you're asking their customers for help too. Right.
And that puts me, that's another touch point. I'm not asking for a sale. I'm asking for support from a customer who's already, I'm a trusted advisor to, or a trusted service provider to. So makes total sense.
Okay. And
that's exciting. That's fun.
Yeah, this is very cool. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Geez, I forgot some of the other stuff that I had. So we're pushing this up to 8.5K. I understand you've got a little bit of Yeah, you got to move, so it's pushing you. But it's also going to force you to get your shop together fast. All right, it's
Yeah, we take possession on
I want to
Thursday.
see 7K. I want to see at least 7K out of you.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's going to happen. I'm doing that.
Yep. There's no reason you can't do it because you exceeded the 5.5. So you're going to be talking to Sophie, and make contact with probably your best Renee, the closest Renee, right? And get.
Yeah, there's two women I'm thinking about talking to. So
just get advice from them and say, I'm gonna have my daughter write this letter. We're doing the daddy-daughter thing, and I would like to just show you the letter and see if you think it's a good letter and what your suggestions are, and get Sophie involved in that from there as well. So
yeah, I'll talk to her tonight about that.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
All right. With that,
Fantastic, my friend.
what is your status over the next week? Are you moving?
Yeah, I'm available. I'm available. It's just lots of chaos going on. I don't have the shop right now, so I'm a lot of the work that I'm going to be doing between now and next session is going to be working on the business type stuff and doing things as opposed to making sawdust. And a lot of leads and things like that. So yeah, when would you like to get together next?
Well, we'll see where you're at in a week based on your move schedule. So you should have 7K in the door, okay, within 6 weeks, October 31st. You should have 8.5 on the books.
What's the difference?
You should have another $1.5 grand of orders.
Of orders. Okay.
On top of that.
Okay. So the order's been placed, but I don't have the cash yet.
Yep. Well, you don't have the cash yet. You've talked to them. You're moving, right? You can't make it for a couple of weeks. So your customers understand that. So, all right, we're gonna knock this off because we're
Long.
had an hour and 45-minute session before us.
Okay, buddy.
Yep,
Thanks, everyone.
It's too long.
I look forward to the feedback on some of these questions I had. And like I said, if you can draw a curve, if you can figure out how to make me a curved thing, teach me how to do that carve code. I'll let me know how much it costs. I want to learn.
Down to the people who watch the channel. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Talk to you later.
So this was a rather long episode with Mark. A lot of the time is spent doing a lot of reflection because I really wanted to check his mindset, where he's at now versus where he was at the beginning. And we have pushed him up to the next goal with challenges that he already has in his personal life. Here's a note for you on this. Mark is in the middle of a move and he's got 6 weeks to now make 8K. In order to accomplish the goals that you want, you have to be willing to push them up to really uncomfortable levels. Most of the time, we like to be comfortable, and that comfort keeps us at financial levels that we're not really happy with. So you have to get uncomfortable. Something that we don't like is the sense of overwhelm when we're trying to get these new levels. It is hard. But the fact that you have a feeling of overwhelm is a good thing, because that means that you are stretching your mind and it's not used to it. It's just like doing curls for the first time or push-ups or jogging for the first time. It's hard, but over time you get used to it. It's the same kind of thing, only this is in the brain exercise. Thumbs up, comment down below your aha takeaway on this. And with that, until next mentoring session with Mark, I'll talk to you next time.